are we going to make it? Is that okay? No, honestly, I really would want to know. I'm not saying I don't believe in myself, but that's really one of the things I think about that every day. Hi, I am Lebo. I am 29 years old, turning 30. I am self-employed and run my own nail care and skincare brand.
We wanted to compress 1,000 years in one space using human age as a unit of measure. So we asked people a few questions about some consistent aspects of the life experience. What does being human mean to you?
Well, firstly, being alive. Secondly, without overthinking it, just being a perhaps mentally and physical or physically active organism. I obviously would stretch it and say someone that, you play a role in here and there, but unfortunately that's not the case with being a human. So in context, I'd just say being human is being a living being for me.
What do you feel you have confident knowledge of?
What I feel I have confident knowledge of is probably my strengths. Because I guess that's not something that I can debate with anyone, and any debate can have counter arguments. So my strengths that can run down from my voice, for example, confidently knowing that I'm some sort of vessel that, where my voice is instrumental in me either sharing a message or empowering or inspiring, but I'm very certain about my strengths and my purpose. And I think my voice plays a very big instrument in that.
If you didn't know how old you are, how old would you be?
Physically, I probably look 13. So physically, when I look in the mirror, I will see an 18-year-old young lady. Without having to even think twice, because I do feel like I look way younger than I actually am. So that feeling part aesthetically, I would say around 18. Although mentally, I think some of the things that I have been through, some of the people I've come across, the people that I learn from every day, some of the things that I have helped others with, that I've been guided with, I probably would say maybe 5 years older than I am, so about 35, but only purely based on the experiences that I've had and some of the lessons that I've learned, but not just through myself, but through those close to me.
What's the one thing you'd like to change about the world?
Maybe two things. I think maybe the first one being opportunities. I think there's so much potential in the world in so many things, in the man-made things, in nature, in everything. I just think there's so much potential in so many things, but our mindsets as, a people, a world, is not allowing us to see potential. We very much addicted to instant gratification. You always want things to happen now. You want to see results happening now. And that actually sort of hinders us in realizing different potential in ourselves, the opportunities out there. So I really just think opportunities. So firstly, for opportunities to open for people, equally so, fairly so. It's not a fair world at all. So I think I'd love to see opportunity that really fills the gap between the rich and the poor, because that gap is really large. But with that, I also want to see people also grasp and learn their potential, or learn that potential really is a thing and every single person possesses potential, because opportunities could present themselves, but if you don't believe in your personal potential, you won't use them to your advantage.
If you could offer a newborn child only one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, one advice, that's actually very hard. But I think that I would tell them to not always, take things too seriously. So look, life is a serious thing. We need to take it as it comes, and we need to be headstrong and. But I think a lot of the time, the more serious you tend to look at things, the less fun you're able to have, the less you're able to embrace the small moments. So I'd really say, don't take everything too seriously, but not so as to make them nonchalant about life and everything around it, but just to be a little, because I think being carefree also allows you to bask in the moment and just stop and smell the roses, and it's not all that bad.
What's the best piece of advice you've received?
Wow. I think it probably is, I can't remember who, I think it was just in a discussion and someone mentioned, oh yes, it was a very good friend of mine. And because I have the brand that I have, and there was this time when I was going through a really bad time and I had stopped producing products and I wasn't making enough money. I was going through financial hurdles. I was going through issues with distributors, and this came after a point where the brand was at some point doing pretty well. It was quite out there, and sales were flowing, and that kind of thing. And then just this big thump of like a stagnant phase came. And I remember telling one of my friends that, I'm so stressed and I really feel as though I'm either doing something wrong or I don't know what I should be doing to make things right. And I remember my friend telling me that in life, we get all these different spaces or phases. And the advice really was, sometimes your bad moments are the parts where, so you will be in life and you'll be growing and building and growing and building, and you'll really just be climbing up and climbing up. But as soon as you reach the ceiling, you will sort of break through it. And you probably, when you get to the ceiling, you probably are the best of the best in that time, in your field, in your sphere. You break it and then you get to the next phase. But when you get to the next phase, you're now a baby with heavy giants at the top, and you keep working your way up until you're the best in that sphere, and then you push again, and then you're a baby in the next sphere. So for me, what I learned from that a lot was just how, even with seasons and phases I now see it more as I've pushed so hard in the phase that I was in. Any quiet season for me is, I'm now I'm in a whole new dimension, and I'm learning from the bottom up again. So you sometimes feel like, so you reach your potential streak and then you push it, but there's always better.
If you could ask your future self one question, what would it be?
Are we going to make it? Is that okay? No, honestly, I really would want to know. I'm not saying I don't believe in myself, but that's really one of the things I think about that every day.
What do you want to spend most of your life doing?
Impacting lives. But I think you can only impact lives when you're self-aware. Because what are you going to add to someone's life if your life isn't not perfect? No one's perfect, but you'll really have nothing to add if you're not self-sufficient. But I really dream of impacting. But when I say impacting, some people might look at me and say, oh, humanitarian, you want to give food parcels in Africa? No. Well, that too. But when I say impacting, I mean impacting within the sphere of what I do.
What value would you like to pass on to the next generation if you have or were to have children?
Sure. I think, I don't know if we would categorize it as a value per se, but I think one thing that I really think I would want to teach my children is gratitude and being grateful, which is actually my name, lol. But I think gratitude goes such a long way, even when you've been granted the smallest of things. But the thing is about gratitude is that it that's where happiness roots from. So you'll even see kids who are maybe from unfortunate background, but the smallest thing that you would think is so tiny, they find to be so amazing and they're so grateful, but that's why they're so happy.
Share an experience you've had in your life that has taught you a lesson that you'll cherish forever.
The first thing that comes to mind would probably be the loss of my father when I was 17. I think I was very young. Obviously, I'm the oldest for the younger sister. She was even younger, way younger, because I think she was 6. We've got a very big age gap. And my dad passed away, and obviously it turned a lot of things around. It turned a lot of also me having to mature a little quicker, because now mom is also looking at me for even some big decisions that she would make with my dad before. There's this automatic maturity plunge that happens to you where you are now having to assist with big decisions and that kind of thing. So it was that. Also, so the experience is that. And I think what that taught me, it was actually a multitude of lessons that I still carry today. And look, some people are probably going to not agree and this, but I think number one, it taught me that life really is unpredictable, yes, but also quite unfair, because even if they always say, everything happens for a reason and all of that, unless you find out what the reason is, you'll always live with the thought that there's no fairness in life. But secondly, it taught me how to cherish moments. There's so many things that I have gone through and achieved and grown into, and even the person I've become and all of that I would have loved to have my father by my side. So I think cherishing the moments that you have with someone is so, so, so important. It may sound cliche, but for me, that's really one of the things that I've learned. I don't take people I love for granted. I don't take it for granted at all. Also, I don't take experiences for granted. I mean, heck, I've had some terrible jobs and terrible bosses, but that 17-year-old girl, even at 27, 25, 20, whatever boss and bad experience I had, or even relationship or friendship or anything, I never believe that anything is a waste. Yeah, and I think as well, I've also just learned how to communicate with people better, to speak to people, not as though it's the last day, yada, 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 no, but to really articulate things in a way that is kind. Just be kind-hearted. You really just never know when the last time you have someone in your life is, But again, cherish those moments. Take pictures, cherish each moment with each person. It may end in tears, as they say, but it was your experience to learn. It was your experience to go through. It was your tear to cry, your fight to go into. So I think that's pretty much what I've learned. I hope I didn't go all over the place too much.
What do you think life will be like 1,000 years from now?
I'm not gonna lie, I just see like machines and robots everywhere and like robotic people, and I'm not gonna lie, the world is becoming so advanced, but it's crazy because there's like this huge, large amount of advance and then this big amount as well of really underdeveloped. But if I'm thinking 1,000 years from now, truly speaking, I just see a world run by machines. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I can't even imagine. I mean, if we have, even our schools are becoming so much more advanced now, and we're moving into a space of less pen and paper and more gadget. I mean, kids are I see it from friends of mine that have kids who will be like, my kid doesn't play with toys, or this kid wants a tablet or PlayStation or whatever it is. So everything is really moving. It's so cyber, and I don't know what will happen. It's actually quite scary because then you don't know what will happen with jobs and stuff, because people will just, even restaurants, I think you'll be served by like robotic waiters. And I really just see a world where technology has taken over so much. A lot of the things that we are used to now, I see that looking like very hard labor or slavery to some extent. But I think we'll be at an unimaginable advanced level with regards to science and technology. It's going to take over.